In the wake of the recent Luka Doncic trade, I wanted to make a video explaining, to me at least, the 4 big things that make him special, how they'll work in a different situation, how they may be perceived in different ways, and then of course, as always, how you can learn from these things. In terms of the actual trade itself, obviously, we never know what goes on behind the scenes, but to me, definitely crazy. Can Luka be better defensively? Absolutely. Can he come to training camp in better shape? Of course. Is the complaining to the refs annoying? Yes, 100%. You can't deny any of those things. And of course, I understand the defensive mentality, building a culture where you want everything done the right way. And I get that, right? I'm part of building a culture every day, whether it's here at our home gym, Detail Miami, or with our club team, with all the organizations that we consult for. I 100% get that. But in a weird way, part of what actually makes Luka great is that he goes against the traditional approach to a bunch of things. And even if he played probably, 100 games last year, averaging 40 plus minutes a game in the playoffs, bringing his team to the finals, carrying more of an offensive load than pretty much anyone has in years, this trade seemed to be less about results and more about how things were done and how that was perceived by pretty much one person. And of course, I could be wrong, but trading away a 25-year-old who's the top 3 player in the NBA, but more importantly, who an entire city and fan base is absolutely in love with and has brought so much joy to them, especially somebody at that age who's still learning how to deal with the fame, how to deal with being one of the best basketball players in the world, and more importantly, who wins games and his team seems to love. Again, that's crazy to me. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. This video will be more about, again, what makes him special, how these things are actually pretty unorthodox, and how he's a different player than basically anyone we've ever seen on this planet. Let's jump into it.
So first off, Luka's feel for the game is insane. And feel for the game is something that we all hear talk about, but it's hard to really put a finger on what it is. So Luka has insane IQ. But as I mentioned, to me, his feel is even more impressive. The difference between these two, IQ involves slightly slower processes, like managing the shot clock, mapping out the court to create space for you and your teammates, maybe even making a ball screen read. But these are things that you can be taught and even think about during the game. Feel, which is to me what truly makes Luka elite and enables him to play such an unorthodox game, are all the things that you can't really teach but can definitely learn over time. So all these little quick instinctual reactions and adjustments. Our mind takes at least half a second to react, process, and decide, and then you actually have to act. So little adjustments like this aren't actually able to be processed by the conscious mind when you're on the basketball court. It's just not possible. It takes too long to do that. So they come with experience and are actually processed in the spinal cord unconsciously, and they're more reflexive than anything. So again, all of these plays, he's making these split-second adjustments. He's not thinking about these things. They're subconscious. And because this gets developed over a long period of time with a bunch of experience and play, this is what's always impressed me most. And my hypothesis on how he's developed this, well, primarily the dude was a pro at damn near 14. He grew up playing against grown men and being forced to adapt, to deal with stronger players and figure it out, and to do it within one of the best European systems out there, Real Madrid, that emphasizes quick thinking, efficiency, and promotes IQ and feel, as well as one that, from my experience at least, promotes a ton of small-sided games and live play in their development system. So now when he's usually the stronger, bigger, more skilled guy in the matchup, it's legit not fair. For you to develop this, as I talk about all the time, play a ton of hoops and incorporate live training, and even better, do this with stronger, older players. Develop your skills and add to your toolbox by yourself, of course, but the sparring is where you really get nice. Secondly are the advantages that he creates. What I don't think most people see is how easily he creates advantages for his team, even if they don't show up on the points or the assists. Even in bad games, possession after possession, he's making it easy for his teammates, even if he doesn't actually get the assist or score. Like here, he comes off the ball screen, attracts multiple players, passes it, and then from there it's much easier for them to score. So Luka has created that advantage, and I'd argue that if advantages created were a stat, he'd be top 3 all time in terms of his average. And much of this is because of how automatic he is in ball screens. In the playoffs, teams tried everything on him defensively. Super drop coverage, urging him to shoot middies, which he consistently killed by just keeping his defender behind, maneuvering around them, and then down to the short jumper area where he's super efficient, creating for his teammates, and yeah, even sometimes getting 10 feet back to the three-point line and knocking it down. They tried going under ball screens, which he'd take advantage of by taking a nice angle and inching his way into the paint, or even pulling it from the logo on a high ball screen. They tried blitzes to get the ball out of his hands. And he had no problem with this either, as he had all the attention on him, and now he's able to facilitate to his teammates and even make some crazy passes. So for y'all who are players, realize how important it is to 1, get super comfortable with any ball screen coverage, and 2, emphasize creating advantages for your team, even if it just means drawing 2 or 3 defenders and letting your teammates take care of the rest. That can truly separate you as a player, even if you don't necessarily score. Third is something that I made a whole video about in the past, which is his calmness, patience, and the speed that he plays at. We all know how slowly Luka plays, and it's definitely unorthodox and crazy intriguing to study. Now, a lot of this starts with his shot making and high release, because he doesn't need to create insane space to get a shot off and make it. He's more so worried about just getting that little sliver of space. His insane spatial awareness also helps here, as he's able to keep tabs on multiple defenders at once and their momentum.
Step back.
As well as know exactly how much time he has to get a shot off, make a pass through a certain window, or finish a layup. And then off the dribble, he's using this feel to consistently orient his body to keep the ball away rather than just using his speed to explode by. So he's almost always in between the defender and the ball, which is a bit awkward and unorthodox to kind of turn this way at first, but allows him to move at a slower pace and not get ripped. His unpredictability here is also very important, as he's great at keeping the dribble alive, making it tough to time up any contests. He's always throwing in pump fakes and capitalizing when they do jump. So at some point, it's like, do you even jump to contest?
He's got 3 fouls. Luka spinning, leaning in, undercut. Doncic, hard drive, double pump.
And as we've seen, he's great at using different paces around the rim to throw off the timing of shot blockers. So again, why does he need to go fast? He's also very efficient with his footwork and mechanics too, which allow him to exert less energy and look calmer while moving faster. Like here, this deceleration puts his feet in a great position to explode out of, and he's already turning here to limit any delay. Then he shoots this front foot backwards to get a nice projection forward, and now he's got an angle. This doesn't look crazy, and it still looks like he's moving at a slow pace, but that initial explosion is fast enough to get his shoulder and hip past, and then from there he's one of the best at maintaining that step. Or here, exploding almost backwards and to the side to alleviate this pressure, but also get his feet behind him and explode by a really good defender effortlessly. Speaking of maintaining that step from a couple examples ago, part of this is because defenders are so worried about getting stepped back on. Like Kyle Anderson here. While he isn't the fastest guy in the game, he could definitely move faster than this, but he knows that if he sells out to stop that drive, Luka's going to step back and get 3 points. So he'd rather push him into his help and hope that Luka takes that and shoots a mid-range. But Luka builds on his advantage, gets in front, and makes it even easier. Same thing with defenders on his back and ball screens. When defenders try to get in front, it's an easy step back for Luka like you see here. So before you say this is bad defense or not even trying to get in front, think about the alternative is in a situation like this if they do try to jump in front. And I think this overall patience and calmness is part of the reason why he's such an insane shot maker too. Well, the first reason there is because of pure talent, which is partially natural, partially developed early on, and of course worked for over the years. But also when you know that you're pretty much never going to get blocked, it becomes just you in the rim. No rushing, no focus on anything else, just an empty gym on every shot. And that leads to stuff like this. And then lastly is the joy that he plays with. Of course, there are times where he's complaining, where he doesn't look as happy on the court. It's natural. But everyone who's watched Luka play and really kind of understands his approach knows that he has fun playing basketball. It's still a game to him in a way, which no, it doesn't work for everyone. And of course, there's always a balance here. But what I don't think people realize is that, in my opinion, if Luka were to quote unquote take the game way more seriously, he may not be as good as he is now when he's still approaching it with a more fun, game-like mindset. So for you as a player or a coach, I want you guys to realize that joy is still a big piece of the game. And although it's absolutely paired and balanced best with working your ass off, that's definitely something clearly that Luka can probably improve on a bit. It can work wonders when you keep the fun in the game. And I'm hoping the Lakers as an organization allow him to still embrace his superpower while even learning from Bron how to find this balance, somebody who's clearly done this. And by the way, Luka works. Just because people don't post their workouts on IG don't mean they're not in the lab, believe that. That's one of the reasons why I believe Luka was such a good fit in Dallas, because there aren't thousands of media members trying to film him and his workouts and get every second of his life like they will in LA. He's not your average superstar, especially American superstar, and like many of the European players we've seen, he prioritizes a lot of things before his social media and showing his life off to others. privacy, family, enjoying life. So in conclusion, look, I see what the Mavs were doing. In a way, I kind of get it. As a fan though, I hadn't had as much fun watching the NBA in a while as I did watching that Mavs squad in the playoffs last year. And I thought they had something budding and a cool culture growing. But as I mentioned, we never know what goes on behind closed doors, and all we can do is continue to enjoy, study, and learn from Luka's unorthodox game and see what happens in the future. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Definitely want to hear you guys' input in the comments, whether it's about the whole trade situation or even details in his game that you have noticed. So definitely drop some comments, let's start a conversation. And as always, send the video out, subscribe, you guys know the deal. I'll see you next time.